Joe Rogan recently had this lady on his show to say that the government has evidence that aliens exist. Her name is Anna Paulina Luna, and she's part of a congressional task force that's supposed to
Dude, she's
release
so hot.
U.S. government secrets. But interestingly, they didn't talk about Jeffrey Epstein or the Epstein files at all.
Nope.
Only aliens.
Damage
and I think
control.
it's worth bringing up that the CIA has a history of using aliens to distract from larger issues.
Yep.
There is literally a CIA document and transcript that's available to the public where they're discussing how they can use aliens as a psyop to distract from more important things. And then a few decades later, when U.S. spy planes were spotted on recon missions, the CIA came out and said that they were UFOs. And now that everybody's clamoring
It's a
for the Trump
perfect
administration
cover.
to release the Epstein files, you have this congresswoman going on Joe Rogan to talk about aliens again, saying that they have a lot of hard evidence that these aliens exist. They just can't tell us what the evidence is. And I'm not buying it. I think that this is very likely a psychological operation in order to distract the American public from the Epstein files, especially considering that Rogan loves to have CIA operatives on his show, especially since he signed the Spotify deal. I actually think this Mike Baker guy is likely a handler of sorts. So quit feeding us this trash, Joe. The old version of you would be disgusted with the current version of you. Talking about aliens when half of our politicians were on freaking Epstein's island.
CNN reported that the Trump administration was looking to ask Joe Rogan to help soften the blow about the Epstein files. So they're trying to use him as a tool of the state, as a piece of propaganda. And what does he do? He has Anna Paulina Luna on, this bimbo slut, to come on to talk about aliens. Like, well, I don't know if anybody gives a shit. And they've also been hyping this thing up in November. They keep saying, November, aliens are coming. This was the picture I kept seeing, was this. Holy shit, people. Hostile alien spacecraft. This is coming at us at light speed. You ready for it, people? Get ready. Get ready for it. And so she comes on here to talk about the government, classified stuff, and all she talks about is aliens.
I can also tell you, and this might sound crazy, but based on our investigations and stuff that we've seen.
She's so hot,
okay,
dude.
There is definitely something.
I believe everything she
that
says.
I think would rival what we know currently with physics, and a tech that potentially is out there that we don't have the ability to reproduce, because it would basically be like dropping a cell phone right off back during the time of maybe cavemans. So like we just don't have the tech to develop it yet. What I can also tell you is, based on our interviews, and this has been something that you can go back and watch with the congressional hearings, but I was actually able to ask some of the witnesses, what are these things? And they keep saying interdimensional. And then when you talk about the interdimensional aspect of, are these things pre-existing, maybe outside of what we currently know as our own dimension? That stuff can kind of all sound crazy, but at the end of the day, my job as an investigator is to receive all the information, decipher it, and then ultimately, from a congressional aspect, if you do have contractors that are withholding information or operating outside of the purview of the federal government, there's budgetary issues, but there's definitely something that I can tell you with confidence that exists that we don't know how to explain currently.
So when you say that it operates outside our understanding of physics, what specifically are you saying? Like what happened?
To I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have.
Energy things? What do you mean?
Well, they call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. And that's not something that I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff that we've seen. That's based on information that we've been told. And then also, too, I think that there's this historical aspect of, this gets into the deeper theories and concepts of religion, and I think the history that we currently know, and that kind of spins off into another topic of, you have the modern day Bible, you have this aspect of Bibles or books of the Bible that have been removed that explain and kind of touch on these topics. And I think that we're in a time and age where you
Books
have
of the
such
Bible that have been removed. What is she talking
a vast
about?
amount of information that we have access to via social media, via your cell phone, via the internet. And so it's really changing the way that we understand, the origins of life and the spiritual reality that we know.
When you
currently.
say interdimensional beings, that they know that these are interdimensional beings, how do they know that?
So based on testimony, would be based on witnesses that have come forward. But what I can tell
So
you
the
is
witnesses just were told that they were
no,
interdimensional?
that they've seen things. And what I can tell you without getting into classified conversations is that there have been incidences that I believe where very credible people have reported that there have been movement outside of time and space.
That's very vague.
Yeah. So, look.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Look. Have I seen a portal open? No. Have I seen a spaceship? Personally, no. Have I seen evidence of this? Yes. Have I seen photo documentation of aircraft that I believe were not made by mankind? Yes. Is there historical significance to this? Yes. Is there multiple events that go back to, I would argue, maybe even before the time of Christ that have documented this in text? Yes. So do I believe that the government has access to certain technology? Yes, to an extent. And I believe that certain contractors potentially have back engineered this tech. I think that that's what can explain the advancements that we're seeing. But I also believe that this is a dangerous level of hidden information from the American people, because if you have an aspect of the federal government,
they're
which
just
I can
shoveling
tell
this
you,
girl out there.
I,
Go
with
talk about
two other
aliens.
members of Congress were denied
He's
access
like,
to
okay.
information at Eglin Air Force Base pertaining to whistleblowers because of the fact, and we can get into that story and what happened at Eglin in a second, but we were denied access and told that we don't have security clearance or the read-in authority on a special access program. That's a problem, because I'm supposed to represent and be an investigative body, and you have then people who are unelected that are operating basically in secrecy, and that's a problem.
They want to just cover up the Epstein shit. That's really what this is. They're just rolling out the red carpet for the bimbo politician to come out and talk about aliens. And all the boomers are like, I knew it! Star Trek! I knew Star Trek was real. I knew Star Wars was real. Oh. Like, they haven't been sitting there programming these people with a steady diet of alien propaganda for literally 60 years. I knew it! Aliens are real. And, you know, it's funny, like, nobody even gives a shit, too. like nobody who's, like, real people, like, don't give a shit about this at all. But I think they would love for this to be something they can clog up the news cycle with. Rolling her out, talk about something else. Talk about something else that's exciting. No, I'm cool. I think this is all bullshit. I think even if there are interdimensional beings, they're demons. Christians have been talking about this for years. But I don't, if there is something coming from another planet, it's a great cover. It's like the perfect cover for high-tech pieces of equipment that maybe our Defense Department is working on. Wow, this thing moves so fast. It's like, no, that was just something we built, and it was just an amazing piece of technology that we created, because a lot of what we see is old equipment. It is behind what we're actually working on. A lot of technologies, the B-2 bomber, it's been around for like 30 years, and it's like all state of the art. But really, it's like there's stuff that they're working on that in 50 years we're going to think that it's new, but it's not. So they have this as kind of a ploy to say, no, it's aliens. It's great. And they can use this as a front for that, and for people's imaginations to keep their minds focused on something else. But there's also something else they could potentially do with the alien hoax. Now, I don't know how many people know about this. I don't see many people talk about this at all, because maybe people think that it's too far-fetched or it's just not real. But it's called Project Bluebeam. How often do you hear people talk about Project Bluebeam? Not a whole lot. It was theorized by Serge Monast years ago in the 90s. Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory which posits a plot to facilitate a totalitarian world government by destroying Abrahamic religions. Like, she basically talked about the Bible quite a bit in that portion of the interview, where this is going to like totally shatter the minds. This is stuff that's pre-Christian. It's a plot to facilitate totalitarian world government by destroying Abrahamic religions and replacing them with a new age belief system using futuristic NASA technology and involving a faked alien invasion or faked extraterrestrial counter meant to deceive nations into uniting under a world government. And this actually sounds more in the direction of what's probably going to happen. Maybe they'll use AI, maybe they'll use drones, maybe they'll use some other sort of technology, holographic, whatever, to stage an event. And with all the spectacle of social media, eyes on it, they could get people to buy into, all the religions are fake. We give ourselves to a new religion, a kind of, I think, a perennialist kind of Gnostic type religion, that all the religions have truth in them and they're all real. And that we understand that now there are a higher order of beings above us. It's really just a facade. It's to get us to buy into their religion, the religion of the state. That sounds way more plausible than actual aliens. Like, oh yeah, this is a created bullshit, false flag. Oh, November 2025, aliens are coming. I don't know. Maybe they won't even do it. But they've been absolutely priming people and putting this into their minds for a better part of a century. With all the movies, Close Encounters, Alien, right? Like all these movies came out priming us. Star Wars, Star Trek. So much of this has been priming people's minds for aliens. But it pulls people away from the Christian religion. It pulls people away from that to say, no, actually, humans aren't the only thing. They aren't created divine beings. No, there's actually aliens out there. And that we should actually worship those guys. And at the very least, you don't even have to worship those guys. But at the very least, you would reject your religions and say, okay, our religions are all bullshit. I think George H.W. Bush talked about this, didn't he? Or is it, maybe it was Reagan.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
So right there, you even have Reagan affirming kind of the alien philosophy, that we're not alone in this world, in this universe, and saying, well, hey, what if we had a threat? What if we had an alien threat that comes? Well, what would happen is all the people of the Earth would say, wait a minute, just like what happens in war on Earth, is that the nation becomes more nationalistic and we band together around our ethnic commonalities, our nationalistic commonalities, to fight the aggressor. My mom always used to talk about 9/11. Oh, 9/11, everybody flew their American flag after 9/11. Yeah, everybody was on board with the Iraq invasion. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people were. The majority of people, I think, were. And similarly, an alien invasion would cause the whole world to band together and put our power into these multinational globalist syndicates. In 1994, Serge published Project Bluebeam, in which he detailed his claim that NASA, with the help of the UN, was attempting to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order. That doesn't sound super far off, super far-fetched now, right? Via a technologically simulated second coming of Christ. He also gave talks on this topic. Cartoonist Christopher Knowles noted the similarity of Project Bluebeam to plots of Gene Roddenberry's unproduced 1975 Star Trek screenplay, The God Thing, and the 1991 Star Trek Next Generation episode, Devil's Due. He died of a heart attack in his home in December 96 at age 51. That's convenient. He died of a heart attack. That's crazy. Anyways, you just have to be wary of we talk about this frequently, and this is kind of a part of the show now, is just the influence of the image. The influence of the image and the spectacle of social media, as I call it, and the spectacle of media in general. You can sit there and think, well, I saw it and it's real. That happened and it's real. And sometimes it does happen, but it's not fully organic. And we have to be on guard. We have to discern. Yeah, I think that's what the Antichrist religion is supposed to be, something that looks unifying, but it's just a globalist, Christ-rejecting takeover. Yeah, it's like, it'll be Gnostic, perennialist, which is basically what you have with Peter Thiel and the AI people, with Klaus, with most of the elites in this world. They're mostly, they believe that there is a creator. And I think some of them are, outright satanic. But I think there are a lot of people who just think that there is this like general God who exists as creator. Well, I guess where the Satanist part comes in is that the Gnostic element is that there's hidden esoteric knowledge that we need to go and reveal. And people always say that, well, Satan gives us knowledge, right? He allowed Eve to eat the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, he gives us knowledge. So maybe then you get into the satanic shit where you're like, well, maybe there is something to that because there's a hidden knowledge out there that God hasn't revealed to us. No, God has revealed to us plenty. God has revealed exactly what he's wanted to reveal to us. And that's all we really need. We don't need any more.